People, deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning back in each and every time. It's always appreciated. Good morning to you guys over here in the UK. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, depending on whoever you are and wherever you are in this world. Now, obviously, people, we're about to play Benfica later on today. We need to win, but you know me, I love to pay attention to what our young players are doing. In particular, our young players or just players out on loan. You know, when I do my loan reports, I tend to steer away from Kolasinac, who's playing, getting regular football for Schalke in a bit of a woeful season for them. Torreira, who came on against Chelsea this week in the Champions League and played minimal minutes. These sort of players I try and stay clear from because, it's writing on the wall sort of thing. But, listen, whether these young players or players on loan are going to make it here or not, they all can go off and have decent careers. And if I haven't watched the full 90, I've seen extended highlights or I've liaised with people that act as my eyes and ears around things. So, in relation to what I've come across in the Premier League this week, or I say Premier League across the top divisions this week, I might as well share my opinions. Before that, though, let me share my screen so you lot can actually see the notes that I amassed throughout the days and whatnot. Starting from the backwards, as you lot can see, people for Ben Shafe, I don't know what's going on with him at Norwich. Coventry. I remember he had played a very good game against Norwich and they lost, but he played a very good game. He was a regular fixture in their lineup, and it seems like the last few weeks, like I didn't watch the game, I've seen the highlights, but he came off the bench last night in the 65th minute against Swansea. He got 18 minutes against Brentford as well, people. Again, he might, Coventry are fighting relegation. They're fighting to consistently stay in the league. They've had mixed results. So again, I guess if you're not doing stuff, or the manager deems you're not doing something, you're not going to be the lineup. He's obviously lost his place in the side, people, and obviously, there was talk of making his move was all but permanent when he did move there on loan initially last season. I don't know the progress there. I think generally he's had a good season, hit a bit of a road bump in that regards. Daniel Ballard, I believe due to COVID protocols and injuries and stuff, he's actually missed the last 5 games he could have potentially played in for Blackpool. Now, he's returned, they've won, he's kept a clean sheet. That makes the 21-year-old look good. And for me, when you look at him previously, we're going to get onto Matt Smith, but I'd say Ballard, Matt Smith, based on his time at his previous loan club before Charlton, Mavropanos of late, these are the sort of guys I think are having very good loan spells, people. Really good loan spells, very good loan spells, putting in performances. And, the one thing that's going to go against Ballard is, you'll see throughout the course of this, there's a lot of centre-halves. Obviously, there's a lot of centre-halves on the books. There's a lot of question marks over the centre-halves in the first team and bringing in another one. And at 21 years of age, you're still young. But you need to set down roots, innit? You can't keep doing this Swindon 1 week, come back to the club, Blackpool the next year, and then whatever the year after, I think I do think he'll field permanent offers. And I think he battled well in the game, people, quite a few. I used to play with the Blackpool centre-half Marvin, so I know how decent he is. They've got a couple of decent centre-halves at their club, people. And I think Ballard done well to show the manager he should be in the lineup. Now, he battled well against an experienced 28-year-old in John Marquis against Portsmouth. He did his thing, people. And in relation to the battle of the seaside towns, Blackpool came out on top. So it's a good return for our 21-year-old centre-half in Daniel Ballard. And, he's broke into the national team setup for Ireland before he's got into the Arsenal setup. So I think he's got a decision to make at 21 years of age in the summer. So that is Ben Shafe. Apologies, people, it's early. Sorry for yawning. That's Ben Shafe. That is Daniel Ballard done. Matt Smith. Now, for me, if he continued what he was on in his previous club, I think I would have given him the deluded loan player of the season, and he can still get that now. He's joined Charlton. And I think this is why I mean why you need to go on loan, because whether players have had a good game in what I'm talking about in this report or a good season, it's all for me more of a learning curve and going to help with your development more than being stuck with our 23s. What is the 23s learning? Anyone in that 23 set? What's Reece Nelson learning playing for our 23s realistically? Losing to City and that. What you're not learning nothing, whether it's worked out at your loan club or not. You're seeing how real football is, and Matt Smith has seen everything that goes into being a footballer. Everybody loves you, and he's badding it up at Swindon. Everyone's seen how good he was. The manager's come changed. They've got rid of Donny. He's gone to Charlton, and initially he's not in the starting 11, people. So, you know, this is the good, bad, and the ugly in football, and how football is just a game of opinions. You know, one manager thinks you're the best thing since sliced bread, and you're playing well at Swindon. Next manager comes in and he says, you know what, to do what I need to do in the transfer market, one of these loan players needs to go back to their parent club, to which Matt Smith has done. And, you know, it's a bit harsh because midway through the season, when, you know, he had a couple up and down moments, but generally he was playing quite well. He has to start again at Charlton, and that's what he's got to do. Either way, it's going to make you more of a grounded individual, I feel, than being on the bench at Arsenal's first team, where you was on the bench for a sec, but he never played. You know, he came off the bench. People, he got 55 minutes in the first game that I saw against Fleetwood. Didn't really stand out. Didn't look off the pace. He did his thing. 85th minute, he was a midweek sub in the 2-1 defeat against Burton. Don't really have anything to note on that. But again, you know, he was more or less a 90-minute man at his previous club. So now he's got to earn his way back into the lineup, people. He's still top 3 performers for me in loan spells. It is what it is. Now, I didn't watch this, but Olewu, who's been on loan in Ireland previously, for his team, Wildstone, they lost to Sutton United, who are a good team at that sort of level. So I'm sure Zach Medley, obviously, he had initially started off the season at Gillingham. He's now gone to Scotland with Kilmarnock. He got 62 minutes in a 1-0 defeat to Aberdeen. He's lost to Rangers and Aberdeen. He did all right. I'm sure the whole team would reckon, based on the highlights, that they could have done better for that goal. So it is what it is. Harry Clark, you know, he's having a decent loan spell up them sides there, you know, for Oldham. He was part of the 2-2 draw against Tranmere, people, which he did all right. Again, like Medley, I'm sure those 2 goals, the whole team collectively could have done better. And I didn't watch the game, but I just see that, you know, he got 90 minutes yesterday in their 1-0 victory against Barrow. So make of that what you will. Quickly skipping before Saliba, people, and Willock and Nelson, and Maitland-Niles, I want to speak about Mavropanos. Now, again, I think his future is a bit blooded because I think there's several possibilities. The obvious one is that he comes back and he's utilized in some capacity with Mikel Arteta. Could go on loan again. Or you could sell Donny for a profit. You know, he's been there for a couple of years. He might, you know, become one of the, you know, a top defender for club and country and stuff like that. You know, he's still young by defending standards, sort of thing. So he might become a great player, and maybe one day Arsenal will look and say what's going on. But same way, there's nothing wrong with making a profit. You've had him for a couple of years, really and truly. Injuries, injuries to a degree has played a huge part in his lack of development. You know, just make a profit, and that can be reinvested. You know, I have been impressed with what I wouldn't say set the world. Anyone set the world on loan, and I think Mavropanos, the key thing was to be able to stay fit and be available to play every game. He's had some knocks and niggles and missed some games for Stuttgart, but when fit, he's been putting in quality performances. I do think he deserves an opportunity to at least come back for Arsenal in pre-season, potentially show Arteta he's developed and you can count on me and all of these sort of things. But one has to wonder, you know, you've got Gabriel, who, in comparison to Saliba and Mavropanos, is significantly more experienced, but he's still raw and he's still a centre-half you need to train and iron out edges and all these things. He's 22. Saliba, it'll be 22, 23 come the end of the season. Saliba will be 20 max. You'd obviously have my man who's in his early 20s now. Are we really going to go into next season with 3 sort of defenders where you have to, 1, give them game time, 2, how do I make it make sense? Give them game time, somewhat be prepared, more so Mavropanos and Saliba, that they will make mistakes, which could prove costly. And obviously, it's a result game business. I don't think we're going to develop 3 centre-halves on the trot, people. I think Saliba, he'll get an opportunity next season, hopefully. Gabriel's obviously there. I think we're more likely to see a centre-half come in of the likes of Marie, that sort of bridge player, that 25 to 26 sort of age, that can be that sort of player for a couple of years before Saliba hits 25, and you know, Gabriel hits 25 and Saliba hits odd 20, and they get that little experience. So I don't know what we're going to do with Mavropanos, but like I said, the key thing was staying fit, and I think he's doing that for Stuttgart. You know, maybe even Mislintat will keep him permanently. I think he had a good game for his team, people, you know, in the 85 minutes. I don't think he was really troubled in a good way. As you can see here, I've got nothing to say about him. You know, you weren't tested really. You know, you was competent when you needed to tackle. You kept it basic. You know, he read the game well. got 85 minutes. So yeah, he's doing his thing with Mavropanos, and I would like to see him given an opportunity in pre-season. I do think it's naive to expect 3 young centre halves within if Mikel Arteta is in charge, that is next season, people. So that's that in relation to Mavropanos. We'll save Guendouzi to last, people. We'll save Guendouzi to last. We've been working from top to bottom. In relation to Joe Willock, I'd give him a 5 out of 10 for his performance, really. And to be fair, I should have rated all of them, but these were the ratings I had at the time. I promise I ain't forgot Saliba, people. I've not forgot Saliba. But Joe Willock, Joe Willock, depending on how you look at it, you could say he was unlucky to concede that penalty against Rashford. I think it's stupid. You shouldn't be sliding anyways. Yes, Rashford makes a meal of it, but stay on your feet in the box, innit? Joe should do better. I did feel he had a better first half against Manchester United than second. Now, he's had a baptism of fire, really, because fair enough, he played against Southampton. That's an even contest. Then he's had to go against Chelsea and obviously Chelsea and United, obviously, and this is where you want to see Joe Willock thrive. I'm not saying he must grab the ball and dance past everyone and give Newcastle a shock result against them teams. I'm not saying that. This is where I want to see you learn, because like I said, Arsenal 9 times out of 10 are playing against low blocks. You're going to Old Trafford. You are going to be part of that low block. You are going to have less of possession. So I need to see what you're on. And with Joe, in these 3 games I've seen, I think it's still, again, he's not going to change overnight. He needs a platform to play. But I'm not too sure if he's going to have a future at Arsenal. I think you can have a role for him, but 38 games, there's going to be very few fixtures where there is a role. Because I think he had a better first half. I think he had a bit of legs in the midfield. I think he used his energy well in the first half. Second half, he was a bit careless in possession. Obviously conceded the pen. Ultimately, for me, a bit of a headless chicken. Like I said, the good, bad, and the ugly. He got a lot of praise against Southampton when he scored, and he should have had an assist, and I'm taking nothing away. But when you look at the amount of passes he played to passes he turned over, they were quite poor. This is something I've said with Joe Willock. I know he's got the gear. I need to see you've got the idea. I know you can run about. I know you've got an engine. I know you mucking. I know you've got energy. They're good things. They're strengths. But the harsh critic in me will say, oh, cool, you can't really be a central midfielder, definitely in the modern game, without having high intensity, without running around, without putting in a shift. How does that make you stand out? So I haven't learned anything about Joe Willock in that regards. Like I said, against Southampton, he attempted a low amount of passes and barely counted such people. Obviously, against Manchester United, I think statistics say he gave the ball away 14 times. A midfielder, that's very careless. Like I said, the energy is there, but it's now about having the brain. Show me you've got that bit of quality on the ball, Yeah, show me your passing. I'm not saying he must get 10 goals, 10 assists. I'd love that, but show me a bit of quality. And what I'm seeing right now isn't necessarily quality. And again, I want Joe to have a future here, but if he doesn't show anything and we can get some bread for him, why not? So moving away from that, going back briefly to Saliba, they lost to Mets, who lost I think they lost 2 in a row before playing these. Now, Saliba, as usual, he's competent on the ball, but similar to Joe Willock, Maitland-Niles, Guendouzi, the main thing I want to see is defensive improvement. Mavropanos, of course, and obviously if you're a defender among this list, because what I mean by that is, I was skipping ahead to Guendouzi. I know you can ball play. I know the biggest issues for me as an Arsenal fan, wish I was a player, is your defensive outlook. With Joe Willock, I need to see a bit of quality on the ball. I'm not learning a lot of stuff, and mainly defensively is where I need to see a lot of improvement, especially with the central midfielders and centre halves. Now, against Saliba, we know for Saliba, we know he's competent on the ball, the passing range, the carrying out from the back, playing under pressure. He's very much a modern day centre half in that regards, but it's all about the defending. I have to admit, looking at Nice, one has to wonder how much is he going to learn there in terms of defending. Don't get it twisted. You've got a platform to play. I'm sure the coaches can tell you. But, you've got a young, naive squad and the defense. You've got a defense that has bad habits. You've got, from what I'm seeing with the coach, it doesn't look like it's going to change overnight. The system is utter chaos. So it's like, how much can he improve defensively? It's like the main thing you want to see with Saliba for me, obviously, the more games you make, the closer it develops you. So more game time and the confidence that gives you. Just simply that, really, a platform to play, get some minutes and just become a tiny bit more rounded to having a task at Arsenal. I do think Arsenal are going to have to spend a lot of time working with him defensively just because of his age and the obvious things he needs to improve. And the fact that I can't really see glaring improve. Of course, you know, and you lot that watch my my loan reports, I've sat here on occasion and said he's done this defensively, done that, but I don't think he's going to improve in that system and with that management defensively a whole deal, people. They lost 2-1 to Mets, like I said, people. The first goal was very poor. Initially, the build-up is from a short corner. I did feel Saliba could have read the danger and got across the man who put it in the back of the net, but really, you know, I think it's the whole team, really and truly. Second goal, again, that's more directly, I believe, him and his centre-half's fault, because once again, like I said, in the build-up, they're not alone. A cross has had to come in, so the fullback maybe could have stopped the cross. Someone needs to track a runner. Who gave the ball away? There's an inquest that has to happen. But from a striker gets in between the centre halves and is able to exploit that and score, your centre halves have done a job wrong, because nobody's been aware of the striker, nobody's looked over their shoulder. And what do I always say to you lot? You don't look over your shoulder, you're in trouble, people. So I do think, you know, the crucial thing is Saliba is getting game time and he is showing his quality, but defensively, I have to admit, man, looking at Nice, and it's a regular theme, they're conceding the same sort of goals, these cheap goals, really and truly, not following men, switching off, you know. Then it's a constant theme. I don't know if it's going to be nipped in the bud. So one has to wonder. It's not like Saliba's gone, you know, because I always say Italy, not saying Italy is the thing he should have went to, but I always say Italy is or Italian football is the university of defending. You know, if for argument's sake, if he did go to an Italian team, you know, I can make theory with, yeah, he might come back a more rounded defensive individual. He's obviously going to learn through playing games, but I don't think he's going to improve dramatically defensively. I'm not trying to put it down on things. This is just, can only comment on what I'm seeing. And when I see that system and the way they're doing things, how can someone thrive defensively? You know, it's not making sense. He's going to look, Saliba at best, it's going to be like Koscielny at Arsenal, where it's not a great defensive system and you're shining because you're a good defender. You're shining because we're so calam, and take nothing away from you, you're still a good defender, but you're trying to solve, you know, it's like a fireman. The house is burning. You're trying to see how many kids and wives and kids and dogs you can save. You get it? That was like Koscielny. You know, we used to get beat up in Europe all over and whatever, and we'll praise Koscielny for these little tackles and stuff, and it's all in vain. That's all I believe can happen for Saliba at Nice, personally, people. But shout out to Nice for giving him a home and all of those sort of things. Just want to make, that's neutral topics, people. Just want to check I ain't missed out anything. So I've spoken on Ballard, spoken on Shafe, spoken on Smith, Olewu, Medley, Clark. You know, Saliba we've just touched on. We touched on Mavropanos. Joe we've touched on. Maitland-Niles. Now, for me, good appearance, good game and a good appearance for Maitland-Niles against Burnley in the 0-0 draw. I think that was personally the best game I've seen from him in a West Brom shirt. You know, against Spurs, he put himself around, but, you know, they were just, Spurs were the better team, innit? Against United, there was the good, bad, and the ugly. He started off well, and initially it went worse and worse and worse, and the end product wasn't there. And, you know, you saw everything really and truly. You know, one thing we want to see with Maitland is, you know, that calmness on the ball. Can you find balance? Because it, you know, and obviously technically he needs to improve. Now, there's been the last 3 games he's actually played. He's not going to be judged on scoring, but the final third, I've been a bit unimpressed because his decision-making has been poor, probably highlighted more against Manchester United. He probably should have scored, you know, in this game, but it was his best game for me to date. I think he did work well and looked assured centrally, but I think he really excelled when they went down to 10 men and he had to kind of be shifted to that left row. And, you know, indirectly, I think that's shown Sam Allardyce's versatility. You know, shout out to Sam Allardyce. He's been very adamant that this man is going to play in central midfield, but, you know, a gift and a curse of Maitland could be his versatility. And I think they did well. Like I said, he could have scored and they could have nicked it, and 10 men, you know, West Bromwich Albion nick it. And things like that. But I think he put in a performance, man. His passing was good, defensively was good, always made an option. You know, tackling was decent. I don't have any stats, but a better performance, man. You know, first game, again, maybe not 90% per se, but first game so far at West Brom where I haven't seen you just good in patches and little stages. You've been at it before. Again, you know, the end product has let him down for the second week in a row and he should have scored. But I think Maitland-Niles really had a good game for me personally. In fact, I was meaning to speak about some of Sam Allardyce's comments, people, you know, because he did mention this after the game, really. And just to bring it up for you, as you lot can see here, people, Sam Allardyce has hinted that Ainsley Maitland-Niles' second half performance for West Brom against Burnley last Saturday has given him more food for thought on how to utilize the Arsenal low knee. You know, as you lot know, Maitland-Niles views himself as a central midfielder, but he was shifted over to that left. And like I said, you know, he should have scored people, and he did link up well with other people. But like you can see here, Sam Allardyce says absolutely very good, people. You know, he said it was his best performance to date, something I share, but he said absolutely very good. He should have scored. I thought it was a good chance, but he should have hit the target. He isn't a natural finisher, but we hope that those midfielders can pop up with one now and again. Now, obviously, I'd say widespread, there isn't too many goal scoring midfielders. Like off the top of my head in the Premier League, Guendouzi based on this season, Bruno Fernandes based on what he's done since he's joined United. I'm sure there's other midfielders that have respectable goal scoring returns, but you know, they're the only ones, you know, that I would say goal scorers, and mainly really Bruno, because I don't have Gundogan's stats to hand. I think Gundogan's a good player, but I didn't have him down as a goal scoring midfielder. So they're in the modern day, they're not really there. But either way, Maitland-Niles, your end product, whether you're passing, assisting, playing that ball before the assist, it's got to improve and be to a consistent basis, people. But he was good. And he also said, obviously, you know, 3 points is 3 points and he could have scored, but he said that would have been a really important one. But his overall performance, he may have made himself look better in that wide left position rather than central midfield after that performance. So what does that tell you? Maybe that tells you your manager ain't really fancied what you've been doing in midfield. Now, one thing I like about Sam Allardyce, he still supported him, he still played him. We've also got to remember, you know, he's not played the best part of half a season, really and truly. So he's got to be able to build up his thing and stuff like that. But going on, he went on to say, we went to a 4-4-1 and pushed him out to the left, or he could switch with Pereira. I don't mind Ainsley, Mateus, or Mbaye. They were the most dangerous players going forward. You know, and again, you know, they've brought in 2 signings in relation to in regards to their midfield. You know, Kuzlu and Maitland-Niles came in. They've got Gallagher, so there's competition for places. He said, and now we've got a defensive unit which is playing better. But the only problem is we didn't get 3 points. We have to hope that gives us confidence to turn the tide and get 3 points in our next game. So again, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, there's no romance with his loan spell like with Joe Willock, but more so Ainsley. They're trying to stay in the league. Yes, you've got a platform to play, but you've got to show the thing. So, you know, good on you, but maybe your versatility is going to go against you. Now, people, as you lot can see, Matteo Guendouzi, from what I saw of the game, he got 66, 67 minutes for Hertha Berlin, and that's all you need to mess up, people. As you lot can see, or as you lot saw with the highlights, if you have watched it, he got, apologies if this isn't zoomed in as well, it should be at least at 200. As you lot saw, Guendouzi came on and he barely didn't have any minutes to play, but as I always say to you, from what I'm seeing with Guendouzi at Hertha Berlin, it's the same Matteo. I know he's confident. I know he can ball play. But the main issues are defensively. He needs to improve defensively and he needs to play to the whistle. And I think this game highlighted it. You know, obviously he didn't play a significant part, but this is probably his worst appearance in a Hertha Berlin shirt for me, because the level of that mistake is unacceptable. As you lot saw, it's not on the edge of his area, people. It does look like that from the angles watching the game. He's inside his own area. Like I said, he's only been on the pitch 2-3 minutes. He's inside his own area. He's lost the ball cheaply. Rather than play to the whistle, people, he makes a meal of it. You know, he makes a meal of it. And like I said here in bullet points, defensively is where the most improvements needs to be made. Caught in possession, taking too many touches, makes a meal of it, and they score, and it's very cheap. And you know, it's an academy sort of mistake. I don't expect to see that in a professional game. And if you want to play for France at international level, you want to play for a bigger club than Arsenal or whatever, even if you want to come back to Arsenal, you can't do things like that. I'm sure you've all saw his manager speaking about him and things, not really speaking about him, but speaking about his process on loan. He said it's like puberty for him. He's kind of a rebel. He has to work and learn like an animal. In relation to his situation, he said, in training, I always stop these kind of duels because you can't fall to the ground like this, and afterwards he's mad. So again, you know, this is an incident that probably happens in training quite a lot. And, you know, he's tried to replicate match days and playing to the whistle, and lo and behold, a mad things happen. Now, Guendouzi's had a good loan spell. He's played a lot of football. He showed his character. You know, like I said, the main improvements need to be defensively, and I don't think it's going to happen, you know. If I'm looking at Guendouzi and Guendouzi and Saliba, I just want to see you lot improve defensively. I know you lot can ball play. I know you lot got character, but I want to see you lot improve defensively. Maitland-Niles, edge those sort of areas out your game. For Joe Willock, you need to come back confirming what sort of midfielder you are and having a bit of quality on the ball. You know, defensively, I think Joe does switch off following his runners, but I do think he's more switched on than them. Like, I think his is showing the quality in the final third. But everyone on loan, there's a lot of development. And for the young lads on loan, it's just about giving Arteta or Arsenal no opportunity but to not involve you, because all your loan reports are coming back glowing and those sort of things, people. But on that note, I've got nothing more to add, so I'm going to get out of here, people. It's been a fantastic loan report. This is what's been happening. Obviously, as there's more action until the end of the season, I'll bring my little bits and pieces. Obviously, I'll watch. If I can't watch 90, I'll liaise with people that have watched them, that I trust their opinion. Obviously, there's extended highlights, there's match reviews. I'll somehow find some reason or something, some little bits and pieces to speak on. But it's been a fantastic 25 minutes, people. On that note, though, I'm going to get out of here. Please make sure you hit the like button. Please make sure you subscribe. Please make sure you check out the Deluded podcast, which is on Spotify, people. And also make sure you're paying attention to my watch alongs. Like, this is coming out on Thursday. This video is coming out on Thursday. Arsenal play Benfica on Thursday, and I'm going to be doing a watch along for that. So make sure you're paying attention. You know, football never sleeps, neither does DG. So there's always some new bit of content for somebody. On that note, though, DG, I'm out.